Well, kingdom blessings, EFAM, kingdom blessings. I hope all is well. Welcome to What is Happening Now. As you can see here, you have myself, Elder Della Major, and also our pastor, Pastor Sabrina Williams online. So come on in here. I know that you still are influencers, even though we are on this platform. So we're waiting on you, EFAM, to come on in and to chime in on this wonderful new segment of our Wednesday Digging Deep. And we are just really so excited to be coming here on live again with another section. And I'm so excited. As you can see here on the topic, what we are discussing tonight is what's happening now. So we're going to have a very robust conversation that's going on this evening with our panelists and a lot of things that's going to be discussed. I know that you've been excited about what's coming up, which is our vice president presidential debate that's going to be following. So we want to get on, and we definitely want to be able to consider this like our pre-show to the show. So we're really so excited about what we're going to be discussing. As you see, Pastor Sabrina is on with us. So Pastor Sabrina, you want to share a little few words with the EFAM?
Yes, EFAM. I told you guys that we are doing something different for Wednesday nights, and it's called What's Happening Now. And so we're going to talk about what's going on. You know, as influencers, we have to be able to know what's going on in the world so that we can have kingdom perspective and influence over it. And so we know that the presidential debate is a hot topic. And so we have everyone on just to talk about that. But I have a very special guest who's coming on with me. You know, I put out the clarion call, was there any Trump supporters? And no one answered. I didn't get a like, I didn't get a comment, I didn't get anything. And I know how hard they may be because you just don't know what people will feel if you're not a Trump supporter. And it's really like heavy. But I found someone who I have done ministry with, her and her husband, and she has just an awesome spirit. You know, when you meet someone, you just know that they have a good heart. And I love her and her husband. And so when I reached out to her, she was excited to come on. And I knew that she would be able to demonstrate what we're trying to show is that we can have different political views, but kingdom people must stay united. And so
Amen.
I'm so excited. And so in the comment section, you guys can ask questions, but we're going to be respectful in our show. So let's be respectful no matter what your political party is. You can have
Yes.
those, but let's address them. So we got a bunch of people on. So Elder Della, I'm going to introduce Denise first since I kind of talked about her. Denise, if you can unmute and just tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Oh, guys, thank you guys so much for having me on here. I am just honored that you guys are open to having this type of discussion in a godly way. You know, that we can, like you said, have differences of opinion and talk about those things from a godly perspective. And like we as influencers should be, talking to our people about that listen to us on a regular basis. I'm Pastor Denise Ramos. My husband and I are ministers in Farmersville, Texas, and we've been involved in politics for quite some time. But more than anything, we've been in ministry for a long time. And we have a radio show that we do, and we do a lot of internet-based programs. One of them is WOTGTV.com. And I love talking about this kind of stuff. And I love that I can talk this kind of stuff and not get my feelings hurt or get my emotions all wrapped up to where, it's getting crazy.
Yeah.
I believe we can have these conversations. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yay, I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you.
Della, you want to introduce the rest of the
Yes, well, I'm so excited to be bringing on, before I bring on our other two guests who's no stranger to this, but I want to bring her on because many of you guys don't know Tanika exactly in the platform by which she really truly operates in. Many of you seen her around the church, but this is a dynamite woman of God who actually has been serving in the arena, in the governmental arena for several long times. I'm not going to take her thunder. I'm going to let her introduce herself and talk about exactly what she does and what it is that she can continue to share in this platform. So Tanika, if you can come off mute and come on.
Good evening, everyone. I've missed my Valley Kingdom Ministries International family. I'm honored to be here to talk about politics. Y'all know that's my passion, my heart, my desire. And just like Ms. Denise said, we can come together and have different opinions. Believe it or not, our opinions are more alike than different. So I'm looking forward to this evening of talking about the government that we are a part of and how we can make and understand the difference of our opinions that could come together as one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know our other two guests is none other than Tiffany Burnham, who is going to be operating in the role of the system of government servant leader. I know that you have seen her in that capacity. So definitely, Tiffany, go ahead and unmute, come on in. And then, as you already know, Pastor Jeff, you know, he's going to be on. As you see, it was almost an all-girl panel, but this male basically came in and he's exercising his level of authority. He's my boss, y'all, so I'm okay with it. I can't trip. I try to tell him it's an all-girl thing, but you know what he say? He said, I'm crashing this party and I have authority. And you know, so what I do, I submit. So, you know, guys, we want to go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to you, Pastor Sabrina. Let's get this conversation started for tonight. And let's move forward in what's happening now. And so we can have definitely a robust conversation in this arena.
Yep. And so we came up with some different questions that we want to ask. Denise did not say, or I don't know if we said, but she is a Trump supporter. So we know that. And Tanika is a Biden reporter. And then Tiffany, Dunn, and myself are the moderators, and Pastor Jeff will jump in as the system leader, just with his perspectives of everything. And so the first question I have for you, Denise, you can answer first, and then you, Tanika. What are some positive takeaways from the presidential debate that you would make your candidate the best choice for the office of President of the United States?
Oh, this is going to be so much fun because that presidential debate. Oh, come on. Let me just tell you, that presidential debate was, okay, not so great. And that's a nice way to put it. I think there was a lot of things going on that could have been different to make their policies and things more relatable. And I'm probably not going to be really elegant at this, but so I'm just going to do the best that I can. So if I was talking about something positive, oh goodness, you know, I do believe that President Trump is leading our country in a way that I want to see him run it. I think there's a lot of things that he's done so far that I agree with, not only politically, but biblically. And that's what I take out of it on a positive side. My prayer, though, is that the next debate, that there's a lot more respect from both sides, and that we're able to actually listen to actual hopes and desires that they have and political, I know I'm not saying this eloquently, but what their stances are, where they stand, and what they plan on doing for America going forward. So that's where I am at this point with just that debate, if we're talking about just that debate. So
you said that right. Tanika?
My takeaway first, I was a little embarrassed by the performance of our leader and our potential leader as well. There was no civility towards each other. But it's a learning experience. Emotions are involved. You know, you want to get your point across quickly. You want to take your opponent down like in boxing. But what I took away from it was when Biden looked into the camera at valid point in time, such as his children, issues with his drug abuse. We all have someone who has dealt with drug abuse. And so when he looked in that camera and talked to the American people about, yeah, he got problems, but guess what? We're praying for him. We're looking forward to him every day, encourage him to stay clean. That was a parent talking. Also, when he said at the end, when I give up, if I lose, I'm willing to step aside and work with the president of this country. So I took away from the fact that he actually spoke to the people. Maybe not got all his points across, but spoke to the people. I'm looking for, just like Denise said, a little more civility, a little more hearing their thoughts and their concerns and how to move this nation forward. And
Yeah.
how can we be back great leaders around the world and get the respect back that we've lost in these last 4 years?
I want to
Uh,
say to the
well-
because I didn't say this, that you guys can put your questions in here and I will be looking online for them. So you guys can chime in the chat as we're asking these questions and I will be moderating your comments. Go ahead, Pastor Jeff.
Just right quick, I'm gonna try not to be long-winded. I'm gonna first say to Denise is you don't have to apologize for nothing. We want you to be yourself. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
And with that being said, the only takeaway from the debate that was positive, we actually saw who each candidate really was. That is who they are. Donald J. Trump was who he is, and we saw it. And Joe Biden was who he is, and we saw it.
Yeah, that's your perspective about it.
That is my perspective of it.
Yeah.
Nothing surprised me about either.
Nothing surprised me about either. But I'm the moderator. I'm not have my okay.
But wait a minute. It may not have surprised you, but they never got across the point that the American
Right.
people who
Now,
are
that's where I was going.
undecided,
Right.
That was Joe Biden, and that
I
was
think
Donald
that
J.
they-
Trump in their fullness.
So you
No,
saying Biden wouldn't have got his point across either way.
Right.
No,
I think he would've got
let me just
across.
say, go ahead, Tamika. As the only man, I'm gonna wait.
Okay, thank you. I think they both would have got their point across if they had a little more respect for each other.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
That's the
I
problem.
agree.
There was no respect for the men, for each
Mhm.
other. And
Yeah.
to throw family in it showed how uncaring that was,
Right.
especially
Now-
as a parent with a child who used drugs. That's very hard for someone.
I agree.
So
I
fine.
agree. The one thing though that just like on the opposite side, when he told him to shut up. Now, granted, both of them were going off on each other, but when he told him to shut up, when Biden called him a clown, so it worked on both sides, guys. I mean,
Mhm.
I was
Right.
sitting there watching that, thinking, "Come on, people, let's get past this." And the one thing I do like about Trump is that he's a fighter, and he says things. Sometimes I think, why did you say that? But other times he says things that I'm thinking. So, but the thing I didn't appreciate was the disrespect on both sides of the spectrum there.
Right.
So,
Okay, so and I'm a kind of go back to my point. It would have been very surprising to me to watch Donald Trump be respectful. That would have surprised me because that's not who he is.
So you
And
think-
Joe Biden responding to the disrespect in the way that he did, that does not surprise me. So I hear what everybody's saying. And if they would have exhibited the behavior that I'm hearing, I would have been quite surprised because that is not who they are.
But let
And
me
there's
say,
another part of this we got to realize is that was a strategy of Donald Trump's team for him to act that way, because they know that a person, and I'm gonna go a little deeper, but I'm gonna back up off of it too. They know that a person who has had issues with stuttering in the past, if they throw him out in that manner, the response would have been something that the audience would have seen that would have been like, is this guy okay? Because it would have been this weak response and they never got it. Then I'm gonna leave it right there.
Okay, next question, Tiffany.
All right, our next question. First, Tamika, you can answer the question, and then Denise. So we're going to keep fluctuating back and forth. Question number 2 is, since both candidates are older, are you confident with your party's choice to, as vice president, become the president of the United States of America? What is your take?
okay, me, right? I support both candidates' choice of vice president because they looked at people who could step in that role tomorrow.
Yes.
Being with their education, their professions, where they came from prior to. Yes, I think the candidate they picked were good choices.
Just be
I-
honest.
And just
Oh.
can't- right.
I had a hard time with this one because of the fact that I would love to have a woman president, but I don't think the world is actually ready for that. There's only a handful of women around the world. I looked it up to find out who was president. It's only 9 women that's president, and they're not presidents of big countries. They're presidents of small countries. There's about another maybe 8 or 9 women that's prime ministers. Do I think they are Marco of Germany? Would she be that, or would the vice president be strong enough to make our image and our change the world view of us? I think the vice president role is to support the president, but also be ready to take over. My concern is sometimes you're not vetted hard enough. And I looked at the fact that John F. Kennedy was the youngest president. When Lyndon B. Johnson came in, he promoted the Civil Acts right away. He changed rules. Same thing with Nixon. When Nixon left, Gerald Ford had to come in and clean up. So sometimes the vice president's job is to come in, keep the country moving, change policy and procedures, change idealism. And I think with these 2 candidates, they are very strong in that role. They will be very strong in that role. And when they come in, will they have the respect of Congress and the Senate? My concern is, I have real concerns with her being vice president, because men don't, sorry, Jeff, always respect women in a powerful position.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is. She's going to have a hard time. And not only is she going to have a hard time from men of color, but men of non-color.
Okay, very nice answer. Denise?
Can I just say ditto? That was a good answer. And that's exactly where I was coming from too. I think that they're both strong as far as being vice presidents. And I agree. I'm not sure the world is ready for a woman president, regardless. And when I saw that little note attached to the questions you guys had sent me, I was like, so are they telling me that Joe Biden's going to get in the office and he's not going to be there for very long? I was laughing. And I said, because I honestly believe that we're not ready for a woman president. I do agree that that we're not in a world yet where men of any color are going to respect that position with her. Do I think that they both could carry on if we had to? Yeah, I do. I think they could either one do it. Again, that's not my side that I want to go with, but that's my personal view. And but no, I agree with her. All I can say is ditto, because that was a great answer.
Yeah. So Denise, just to be clear, you're saying that if Trump had a female white woman, you don't think they would respect?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Problem was, I gotta add, and we saw that in the 2016 election with Hillary.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Much we wanted her to be president, there was a lot of people who did not want her to be president.
Right.
Yeah.
And think about it. She won the popular votes, but lost the electoral vote. We
Electoral
just have more men on the electric vote. No,
Right.
don't disrespect Jeff.
No. You're right, but the women didn't support her. She didn't get much
Neither.
support from
Right.
women in
We
2016.
didn't come out like we supposed to come out
No.
and support each other. And that's a whole nother subject for another time.
Yes, it is. There were reasons.
The audience, I have a question from the audience. How can we influencers influence those who choose not to vote to vote? Anybody could take that.
It's hard.
It is
hard. It's very hard to convince people that their vote going to make a difference. Being a candidate myself in the past, it's hard knocking on people's doors and saying, trust me that I'm going to make the right decision for you and your family, is sometimes very hard. I tell people, we love the federal elections, but we better focus on these local elections.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
That's
agree.
the key.
And that's our problem. We don't focus on the local. where the judges
Absolutely.
are put in the Supreme Court,
Right.
where the judges are put in court system to make decisions that change your lives and your
Mhm.
children's lives, not just for today, but for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think our whole thing is people have to experience
Absolutely.
Right.
being a part of this,
Mhm.
being a part of the campaigning process, the voting process, actually understanding when someone calls you up and asks you for your opinion of a candidate, you've done your homework.
Mhm.
It's-
We don't do our homework,
Yeah.
and that's my problem. We
Yeah.
don't study ourselves or study the candidates and their voting records and their
Mhm.
style. They could be moderates, they could be conservative, they can be capitalist, they can be socialist. We don't study the candidates' behavior. And until we start doing that, that's how you convince people that Biden is a good character, a man to vote for. Regardless of what else, he's a good man for where we need to go tomorrow, today, in the future.
And you know where you're going with that statement is exactly where I was heading to. I mean, because I know I got this next question, so can I throw in my little bit?
I want
Oh, Denise, you have not said anything. Go ahead, Denise.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay.
No, I want
was
you to
just
go ahead and
gonna
share
say,
your thoughts about it.
there's the one thing I would say about that is too many times I hear my vote won't count. And I tell people you could be the one vote
So
that
one-
sways it one way or the other. And I agree with you that that in the past, me as a voter had not looked into the depths of our candidates. Now that's not the case. I look more deeply into who I'm voting for. And I don't know where all of you guys are located, but I'm in Texas. And Texas, they said that I saw just recently, and this is something that I am going to research because I did not know this until recently, that in Texas, there's no longer straight ticket voting, that we have to vote individually, which is great for me because I refuse to vote straight ticket because I want to know who I am putting in office and what their values are and what they believe in and how they voted for different policies and different things like that. So now I take the time to do that. One of the things that I also find is if you've never voted before, that fear of just doing it the first time and getting in front of the polls and actually voting. But I tell people all the time, man, the first time may be difficult, but anytime after that, and you prepare yourself in advance, you'll walk into there with confidence, knowing who you're voting for.
Yes.
And that's how I get them to go register.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, before I throw up this question, a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple millennials on, and that's one of them actually said that along the line is the understanding of being taught about the voting process and the importance of that. And so it does start a little bit earlier because I know for myself prior to voting, you know, it says I just knew I had to vote, not because of that. So it was left as a choice. And so as the years progressed, if the people that was up for election, it's like I didn't have no true foundation about to vote or not to vote. So I really didn't care. And I'm quite sure that most of the average people who are not voting, it was probably maybe a similar process of beginning. I'm not certain. But I do understand and I do take away from both of your perspective as it relates to understanding your candidates, doing your research, and then knowing that your vote do count. If you know, you can be the make and break that one vote. We've seen too many elections that was by 1 or 1/10 or 2/10 of a point. And that means that's either 1 or 2 votes that can make a difference. And so when you project that out, that's something very key. And that's leading us in talking about early voting. The question that I have, with so many concerns about the mail-in, absentee ballots, the whole full early voting process, do you think early voting is really safe? You know, in certain countries, I mean, in certain cities now, early voting is going on. And there's a lot of people bringing in their ballot, mail-in ballots, dropping it off, but there's a lot of people standing in long lines to make sure that their vote get counted. So do you think that early voting is safe? And if you do, why not? So let's start off with you, Denise, since we started off with Tanika the last time.
Absolutely. Yes, I think early voting is safe and I think it's great to do that. Matter of fact, that's my plan, is to early vote. It starts October 13th, and I plan on being there. Now, will I be in a mask and possibly gloves? Absolutely. But I do believe that regardless of the lines, they're going to have people working in place, social distancing. And most of us have gone through COVID-19 long enough now that we need some distance between us to stay safe. And my goodness, I go into grocery stores, doctor's offices, CVS, Walgreens. I do all of that all the time. So if I'm not afraid to do that, no, I am certainly not afraid to go vote in person, and know that I'm safe.
Just before you move from her, what about the mail-in piece?
On the mail-in, you know what? People have been doing that in certain states for a long time. I mean,
Yes, this is
why
nothing
should
new.
that change? Now, do I think we need to do it everywhere? No, because I think the reason they're even talking about it is because of the fear of COVID. And again, going back to my original answer, I think it's safe. I think that common sense is going to tell us to be protected when we go. So those mail-in ballots, I don't need to be in every state. But the thing that's kind of concerns me with absentee voting, my parents are elderly, they absentee vote. Okay. So I think that's okay. But just recently in the news, I've heard where there's been ballots that have been thrown to the wayside, and that's a little concerning, but I don't think it'll be enough to be an issue. I hope that people just use wisdom and get out there and vote.
Tanika.
Well, first of all, mail-in and absentee ballots were really designed for seniors, veterans, and those who are out the country. Right. We are a polling place here. We have 27 days of early voting in the state of Illinois. The courthouse started today. Markham Courthouse out there in Bridgeport, they started today. They have 27 days, Monday through Friday to 7 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays to 5. Right. If you want to come out and early vote, you can early vote. You can go to Chicago Elections or the Cook County Clerk's Office to find out the nearest location to you. I do think early voting is safe, and it's probably better to avoid the lines because there's not so many people going to be coming out. Today, we wasn't supposed to be open in my office for early voting. We don't start till the 19th of October, but there was at least about 25 people here today. Well, can I go early vote? Early voting started today, but it started at Markham Courthouse today. As far as the mail-in, you get the application or the absentees, and they have a drop box, but those won't be counted to after the election. That's why the election is going to take a few more weeks to process those applications. And so, but early voting goes right downtown, and it's going to be a part of the count for the election night, but the other two will be counted later on.
Yes.
I do think that people should early vote as quickly as they can, because that'll, and especially for seniors and disabled, to come out, find the locations nearest you and do that.
Okay. All right.
All right. Those were very wonderful answers. Tamika, I definitely agree with you on a few of your points. So it's going to lead us right into the next question about this whole pandemic issue and how Trump absolutely treated the pandemic. So it is, in fact, that President Trump downplayed the seriousness of this pandemic. How do you feel about the president's handling of this coronavirus? So we're going to speak to you first, Tamika, and then we're going to go to Denise. Okay, so we can keep it interchange.
This is a hard thing to get used to wearing. This is very hard. So as far as the president, I don't think he really, first of all, he has some information prior to, because he is the president of the United States. Whether he handled the process of putting it out there to the people, because he said he didn't want to panic. But when people started dying, you should have been more concerned about letting us know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Did he handle it right? No, but I don't think nobody really could handle something like this, something that you didn't know, the unknown. Should he have told us early? Yes. So I think he should have told us earlier.
Can I jump in there right quick?
Yes.
Sure.
And you know, let me say, I just hold leaders to a high level.
Mhm.
And having known early what the potential was, you don't sit back and not do nothing. I might not tell the American people, but I'm going to begin the process of how do I get out in front of this thing?
Mm.
And that's important, so that, you know, you kind of fast forward to today. Now, I ain't gonna even say fast forward to a month ago, he was still making it clear to the American people that you really don't have to wear a mask.
But that
So I think that's irresponsible.
Yes. I
here's
would call
the
it
thing
irresponsible.
with that point, because a lot of presidents have dealt with certain illnesses or diseases, Ebola, swine flu,
Classroom.
West Niles. Yes, you have to, but you have to listen to the doctors and the scientists. And his thing was, he thought he was the doctor and the scientist. At the end of the day, you know, N1 or whatever Obama had, they got on top of it. Did he handle that? Would he have been able to handle it if it had got out of hand? No man knows. And I'm not defending the president. I'm just saying that a lot of people still to this day don't think this is serious. He didn't take it serious till Friday.
I don't think he's still not taking it
and I don't
serious.
think he's still taking it serious either. He can afford the best medicine, but those who are on Skid Row, or those who are in jail, or those who are living in a impoverished neighborhood or Mississippi cannot afford the medication that he got. So it's how you handle it. And sometimes we don't know how to handle something until it's put in our lap. He did not listen to the people that could have helped him make a better decision and came out talking to the American public.
All
Now,
right,
see, I
Denise?
feel I
Mhm.
feel a little differently about that, and let me tell you why. Because when it all first started, I believe that President Trump was being very optimistic that it could be controlled and that it wasn't going to be a big thing, because he immediately stopped travel internationally.
Mhm.
And then when things started happening, he actually put into place companies to start making the gowns and the masks and the ventilators and getting them to the places that they needed to go in bundles. I mean, companies shut down for that. And I believe that President Trump is the one who put that into place. Well, I know he did. And I believe just in the beginning, I just believe that he was just being over optimistic, and he was listening to Dr. Fauci and trying to make sure that he was making good decisions in that. And it just got a little out of hand. But guys, think about it this way. Yes, it's been a big number of deaths, and one death is one too many. And it has been a bigger number, but it could have been in the billions, guys. We know when Ebola and all those type of diseases, when they were all concerned about that, I mean, they wouldn't even let people come back to the country, and they brought somebody back to be treated, and he got better. So I think that like Tamika was saying, that I don't think anybody that was in that place would have absolutely known exactly what to do, but I think that the president did the best that he could. Now, I know we're going to get into the question about him not wearing masks, or telling the American people about not wearing a mask. I still today think use reasonable judgment. I mean, in the beginning, they were saying that it was a voluntary thing, and that we could decide for ourselves. And then you're right. It did come later on in the year where he said, you know what, it's the patriotic thing to do. Wear your mask. If it can save a life, then great. Again, we're not a bunch of babies, guys. We're not a bunch of children that need the government to tell us what to do. Common sense tells us what we should do. Now, I work in a doctor's office also 2 days a week. So I know what it's like to have to deal with patients in a mask, in gloves, and how inconvenient and hard to breathe that is. But common sense told me let me help not only keep myself safe, but keep our patients safe. So I think it goes back to, could he have done more in some things? Absolutely. But did he do the right thing by stopping travel and making sure that the things that we needed in large quantity be available? Absolutely. So we've got to give him some. You can't just say that he didn't do anything right. He did, and I'm hoping that we all use godly wisdom and intelligence, common sense, to know when we should wear a mask and when we don't have to.
If I can just throw just a little caveat, I do agree with you in a sense as far as, giving him that credit about him stopping the travel and everything, especially at the height of that. And I have to give it to him because that really it could have been even much larger than it have if he would not have exercised as far as that is concerned along that line. I am a little bit taken aback with the comment and the statement that he had made when they was talking about the mask, and he made this comment of, it was non-presidential per se, like he was sitting at the Oval Office, sitting at the big rose desk and having on the mask and meeting and entertaining heads of states and everything along that line. And so he didn't feel that was like a cool look or a presidential look. Now I want to say cool look, a presidential look. Here he is, the top man in the United States, and he having on a mask. He's entertaining all of these people, and yet still, and he said, he pulled it out. It's like, I got the mask to put it on, but look, I'm sitting at this desk, and because I'm sitting at this desk, this just not a good thing to do, wearing the mask along that particular line. So when we know that he got COVID, I guess in some situations and some questions that I would have is, do you think by him getting COVID that it would have an impact, and this is for both of you ladies, it would have an impact on the voters' decision in this presidential campaign? And Denise, as a Trump supporter, do you think that he sort of kind of like, do you feel betrayed or disappointed or have any concerns that the fact now we know he got COVID?
No. and I'll tell you why. Trump has always said some stuff that I wish he wouldn't. But then he's also said some things that I think, oh, that's right on. And the one thing I love about him is his boldness to say those things. But do I wish sometimes he would take a seat back at some of the stuff he's saying? Absolutely. He's not a perfect man. And I'm not looking for a perfect man. I'm looking for a leader. I'm looking for a fighter. But I will tell you, my son, and I'm going to tell you guys this straight up. My son goes to a gym every day. When he goes into the gym, he cleans everything before he touches it. When he leaves, when he gets off the machines, he cleans everything that he touches, and he wears a mask until he's really working out and he can't breathe, and then he takes it off. But they're socially distanced in the gym. But he got COVID, okay, and he's already getting better. I mean, thank God, and I thank God for prayer and speaking the word over him, because I know he's healed. But just because President Trump got COVID, no, it does not in any way make me feel any different about how I feel, or do I feel, like betrayed or worried or any of that kind of stuff. No. The one thing though that I can say is that now he knows the fight that real people are having every day, and the medication that he was taking in the hospital. I just heard him talk a little while ago. He's going to make it free to anybody that comes in with COVID to the hospital. So they're not even going to have to pay for it. So they don't have to be rich to afford it, because he's giving it to them for free. So I'm glad that even though he got COVID and had to go into the hospital and be treated, that he saw above and beyond what is necessary and what is required and what people are dealing with COVID. And that he said that he was going to make the medicine, free to everybody that had COVID that came into the hospital. So no, I have no worries, no concerns.
So Tanika, do you think, what impact do you believe it had on the voters' decision possibly during this election? Do you think him having COVID would have any impact on voters' decisions for this election?
I don't think, first of all, let me say it honestly, I thought he was faking.
You're not the first person I heard that too. You're not the first person I heard that from.
Sorry.
Yes, that's what the people are saying.
Oh my goodness.
And
It
the
is
only
a
reason why I said that is because they've gone all this time without a COVID incident. But they had a COVID incident and they overlooked it when Herman Cain died from the Minnesota, his first outing. Herbert Cain died. They never brought him back up. They never said nobody had no COVID at any of his other events. And then as the daughter-in-law, Eric's girlfriend got it, Gianna, whatever her name is, and Pence press secretary got it. So they kind of shushed all that under the carpet. But now you got Hope got it. Then you got this one got it. Now you got your wife got it. It's 13 people got it now. So I'm like,
Supposedly.
24.
Yeah, 24.
24. I
24.
apologize.
Mhm.
So therefore, if it's 24 people that got it, I'm like, okay, what now that has to change their perspective. It ain't a hoax no more, or it's real. It is real because now people that got it make decisions. 3 panelists for the judicial, the Supreme Court can't do her court hearing now because 2 of your people have it, and you need majority. So there's some shifting going on, and he didn't look well to me when he was on the top of the house, on the balcony, and saluting the plane flying off. He didn't look well.
He didn't have his spray on.
He didn't. His chest going up and down. He had.
Y'all leave that man alone on his tan.
But at the end of the day, I don't think that's swayed too many people's votes. Not too many people's votes have swayed.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Can I ask? I want to ask Denise a question.
Yeah.
And I got Denise. I got to ask you this question and I just wanted to kind of just let you know, my wife is an ICU nurse who has taken care of COVID patients since the very beginning, and I get to pick her up every day and hear the stories. Do you really think that Donald Trump's experience with COVID is like everybody else's experience with COVID?
Very good question.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, no, not everybody's, because it depends on, some people have it and they're like deathly ill. And some people have it and it's more like flu symptoms and it takes them a week to get better. My son being one of them. I've heard of stories where, matter of fact, my daughter-in-law is an RN. So I completely get where you're coming from. I've heard the stories. I have another friend's daughter who's a cardiologist who has told me stories on a regular basis about things that are going on. So no, I do think that some people get it worse than others. And I'm thankful that I know they think that was all a game. It's not. I believe that it was real, and I believe that that he is just getting better, because, like she said, Tamika said, she was saying that when he was out on the balcony, he didn't look well to me either, but he looked like he was getting better. Yes, I think that he had COVID. I think he's gotten better from it. I think he's going to continue to get better from it, but not everybody's that blessed where they're actually getting over it quickly. Some people have it worse than others, and some people are just not getting over it all. Some of them are going home to be with the Lord. But so I guess it just depends on the degree of sickness that they're dealing with, because my son, matter of fact, he just got diagnosed. It's been like 3 days ago. He's already on the mend. So I know that, thank God, he does not have a severe case of it. But I also do know of a man who is a dear friend of mine, a dear pastor friend of mine. Her brother got it and had to be on a ventilator for months. So no, I don't believe that everybody gets it to the same degree. No.
Tiffany, do you have the questions? I'm gonna let you read the last one so that, because we want people to get to that vice president debate.
Okay. All right, not a problem because we pretty much answered the following question about wearing the mask. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. So the final question is, how do you feel about the handling of the Trump 2020 justice nominee versus Obama 2016 justice nominee selection before the election? Do you agree that the selection should be made after the presidential election? So this is about the nominees of the Supreme Court. What is your perspective?
Who do you want to go first?
We can let Denise go first, and then we can let Tamika follow up.
I was trying to say, I've been going first the last time. Last time you want to go ahead and lead off, I don't care. I mean, it's up to y'all. Y'all said y'all wanted it to do other way. I don't have a problem answering the question. What do y'all want me to do? You want me to go first?
Yeah, go first. Go first, Denise.
No, I don't. I mean, both of them nominated someone prior to the election. Now, one of them did not go through, and this one is being voted on here shortly. But no, I think they did. I think both of them did the right thing by nominating someone. And what was the second part of that question?
Do you think it should go through now or wait? Because, I think the thing was, we didn't let Obama's go through, even though he had more time, and Trump election is here. So
Yep.
why not show the same? So do you think that's fair? Do you think they should wait, or?
I don't think they should have stopped Obama's
Nominee.
elected nominee. Yes, I don't think they should have stopped it. I think that whoever is the president has that lawful right to make that decision while in office. I don't think we need to wait till after the election. I mean, why? It's going to be there no matter what. And maybe Tamika has a different pull on that, but no, I don't see anything wrong with the way they're doing it. I don't know why. I guess it's been a few years, and I didn't study that in depth more before I got on the call, so I apologize. I didn't know why Obama's nominee was stopped. I don't know if it was because then there was a Republican Senate as well. I don't know. Maybe that was the case.
That's why.
But no, I think whatever president's in office has every lawful right to make that nominee and get the vote in process. I don't think that we need to wait until after the election, because what if it's still President Trump for the next 4 years? So it wouldn't matter either way. And I think they should do what they're in place to do, be the president. So that's just where I stand on that.
Tanika.
Denise is right. First of all, Obama had 10 months when he put his candidate up, but he wasn't going to get it through because he had a Republican Senate who was determined to not let it go through.
Right.
Trump, on the other hand, has control of the Senate, and that's the only reason why. And I think Ruth Ginsburg was trying to hold on for dear life, not to die.
All right.
That's my opinion. She held on. She was writing briefs still and everything, and having meetings prior to her death. So yes, it's all about the Senate control. The Senate makes the votes. You can put up candidate like she said, but whether or not you have control of the Senate, who will pass that through, it's a no-win.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Obama did not have the Senate, and Trump does. So
Simple as that.
Well, I want to add this before we go on. I think that Amy is a good choice, regardless of, here we go back to the conservative, non-conservative beliefs, but I think she's a good choice. And I'm glad that she is a nominee, and I do hope that she gets voted in. But regardless, we should not be trying to take the power away from a president that is rightfully the president's. And like you guys said, unfortunately, Obama tried for 10 months, as it were, to get his nominee passed through. And that's our judicial system. That's how it works. And so Again, that's another reason for people to get off their behinds and get out there on November 3rd and vote, or earlier if you have early voting.
I so appreciate you all coming in. You guys stay with us on the EFAM because I'm going to give the kingdom perspective from Apostle H. Daniel Wilson. So I want to read that, what he sent out. But I just want to let my guests go, Tanika and Denise. I love you, Denise. Thank you for
I love you too.
here with me. I'm so appreciative. We have to do more of this.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Thank you, Miss Tanika. I love you. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you for the invite.
You guys have a good one and go watch the vice president debate.
All right,
Yes.
bless you all. Nice
Bless
meeting you, Denise.
Okay. I want to give you guys the kingdom perspective because we're not just doing this just to be on. We do want to be able to give the kingdom perspective about what's happening now. So Apostle H. Daniel Wilson wanted to do that. And so here's his perspective. Kingdom blessings. Tonight you have been blessed to hear a perspective on the voting of our next leaders. And we want to thank you all for being involved in this lively discussion. As I prayed about this kingdom perspective, I reflected that because our Father is divinity, his kingdom is not democratic but is a theocracy, like theologian, meaning he just reigns.
Yeah.
He is not a Democrat or Republican. His rule is not to the left or to the right. He is just God. So how then should we believers choose our leaders when voting and not in God's word? When it's not in God's word. Do we vote for a leader simply because they are Christian, but don't choose to follow the ways of Christ? Do we choose them because they are against abortion, a child getting here, but then use racism and power to bind them after they arrive here? Do we choose a leader because they are from a red state or a blue one when conservatives and liberals are in every state? What I'm asking is, what is the criteria for leadership? And I have believed the answer is, how does the candidate's character line up with their leadership? The Bible tells us that we are fruit inspectors. I have a saying, a tree is known not by the bark it wears, but by the fruit it bears. So, as we are now on the eve of the most important election of our lifetime, as believers must go to scriptures, Proverbs 14 and 13. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. So we must see how any election official position lines up with God. How are we dealing or plan to deal with the 210,000 Americans? Where are we on issues facing the poor, racism, unemployment, respect for all races, gender, or class? Are we united or dividing concerning about our party or the people we are to represent? What is the character of the person we choose? A politician can change their votes, their positions, but their character is who they really are. The old saying is, when a person shows you who they are, who they really are, believe them. Thank you for hearing the kingdom perspective. That's from Apostle H. Daniel Wilson. You ladies have any last word? Tiffany, you've been over the system of government, getting into that role. What are you feeling?
Well, I'm really excited about the whole aspect of doing something new in the system of government. And just the whole kickoff of the political referendum. And this is just the kickoff for me. So I'm excited about all of you guys who are also going to assist with the mountain of government. And it's just so much to be done. It's so much to do, so much help that's needed and required, and so much education that's needed too, to educate our people on the importance of voting, and as was mentioned, on a local basis. So I'm very excited to get into this new realm of knowing what we need to do pushing forward.
Yep.
So that's pretty much my
I'm
perspective.
excited too, and then we're gonna let you plan the next one, because we need to talk about after the voting and all of that. So
Okay, sounds wonderful.
I'm excited. The vice president debate is coming on. So those who watched or connected to the VKMI community page, Rashad and I are doing What's the Word right after the vice president debate. We would love to hear from you. We're going to give our perspectives about it. We kind of do what's happening in the world already. And so we're excited to talk about that. So join us on the Facebook VKMI community page, and we'll see you then. Elder Dallas, on you.
All right. So, well, EFAM, tonight was just really, really powerful and wonderful. But at the same time, we never want to take it for granted that no one who's watching us do not understand what the kingdom perspective was saying, that God is God and he's in control of everything, that we're to be obedient to what the word of God said and not what man say. And so if you yourself do not know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior for the free pardon of your sins, Romans 10:9 just said, if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that he is the Son of God and that he died and rose on the third day, it says you're saved. And in order for you to be able to make a difference, you need to be part of the fold. So pray along with me. If you believe that you can make that difference, pray this prayer along with me and be able to come onto this side of the spectrum that you can receive all of the godly benefits. And it's a simple prayer as, Father God, I believe that you are the Son of God and that you died for my sin. But most of all, Lord God, I believe that you got up on the third day. Now, Lord, I might not know you all as your child right now, but I desire to get to know you. So own me as your child, and I will live for you all the days of my life. And if you prayed that simple prayer, it's a simple matter of the word said, you're saved. But you just don't stop here. You want to get into a Bible-based believing church where you can continue to get fed and be built up so that knowledge and that wisdom, that godly wisdom that God gives on you will carry you further even the more. So we want to stay connected with you. We want you to click on the connection card that's inside of our comment section. But at the same time, if you desire, you like what you heard today, and you want to continue to be able to help this ministry move forward, you can also choose to give us to donate, towards the ministry as we continue to go out and make a difference, not only just locally, but internationally as well. I'm so excited that you joined us tonight. We know we got the vice presidential debate that's going on right now. So we want to be able to get you on, get you excited, EFAM. I'm thankful for the 20 who stayed on with us currently right now. So we want to hear what they got to say so that we can come back to what the what at the end and share what the what we actually heard on today. God bless you and thank you for joining us like never before. Tina, blessings to you as I always end my call. Peace be unto you, and I love you with the love of Christ. Shalom, shalom, and God bless.